We've got a big update on Kyren Williams' future with the Rams. Should the Rams sign him to an extension? When will it happen? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you want to do me a huge favor, join the party, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you're already a subscriber and you want to support the show, hit the like button and drop a comment. I read all of them. I respond to them. Occasionally, I will start responding to more of them. Also, we're trying to get to 18,000 subscribers before training camp, and we're 2 weeks away. We are closing in. Podcast listeners, if you guys write us a review, we'll read it on the show. We appreciate you as well. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me DMAC. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, Chat Sports, Dodgers Nation, The Big Lead. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. And on today's episode, an update on Kyren Williams. When could we see a deal get done? Should they extend Kyren Williams? The pros and cons. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Okay, so one of the storylines this offseason is about the future of Kyren Williams. He is entering the final year of his rookie contract, the fourth and final year of that deal. He's due to make $5.3 million, but he wants a new deal. He wants to lock himself up with the Los Angeles Rams. When he started here, he was at $985,000. That was his initial raise there in 2024. So think about that. He's going from 2024, $985,000 to $5.346 because of the proven performance escalators in the NFL that rewards players that are drafted outside of the first round that earn Pro Bowl selections. So because of his play, he's getting paid more. And after the season, he is going to be a free agent. So that's why the Rams are looking to get a deal done before that contract expires. Because if he hits free agency next March in 2026, today's price isn't yesterday's price if he puts together another really good season. Now, Williams has said that he feels confident that a deal can get done. He was quoted back in the spring as saying, "I know what time it's going to happen. I would love for it to get done so I can take care of my family and the loved ones that helped me get here. I've always got trust in God. Whether it happens now or I play out the season, I know it's going to happen eventually." So that sounds like he's very confident that a deal is going to get done. And Sean McVay said about the future of Kyren Williams with this franchise, obviously, he's got another year left on his contract, so we'll see if he can get something done, and we can get something done together. But he knows how important he is to us as far as just bridging that gap. We'll see how far we have to go for that, but he is a very important part of what we want to be moving forward. Now, that's great to hear from Sean McVay. It's great to hear from Kyren Williams. But until pen is put to paper and a new deal is announced, he's still on that deal. And he was a full participant in OTAs, and he was a leader there. He did not hold out or anything like that. The Rams did, though, draft another running back in Jarquez Hunter. You got Blake Corum in the fold. He's going into year 2 as his backup. And it's not like the cupboard's bare. So what is the latest? Well, the latest comes from friend of the show, Jordan Rodriguez, who covers The Athletic and the Rams for The Athletic. And she's the best in the game at what she does. Is inside info on the Rams. And she wrote in her recent piece, the Rams initially opened contract negotiations with Williams agent Drew Rosenhaus at the league meetings this spring. That the two sides have continued to talk is a good sign that an early extension for the Rams' number one rusher could be worked out by the end of training camp. The Rams will not pay top market money for a running back, but Williams is a team leader and one of the more productive at his position in the NFL. He doesn't hit home runs, he doesn't have explosives, but he is tied among his peers for the third most rushing touchdowns in 2024 with 14. He ranks 7th in total rushing yards, 1299. If a compromise can be struck, training camp is the usual timeline for such deals under the era of Rams leadership. So I think what we're looking at here is basically more of the same with how the Rams do business. Because if you look at recent history with Les Snead and Sean McVay, they use training camp as that unofficial window, that unofficial timeline that they give themselves to get these extensions done. We saw that with Cooper Kupp. We saw that with Aaron Donald. And clearly that is the goal here with Kyren Williams. Now, the big question is this the best thing to do for the Rams? To sign him to a new extension, to get him locked up? Well, it kind of depends on what you view him as, how you view the running back position. Because really the rule of thumb the last 5 to 7 years was outside of the unicorns, and you know who those are, Saquon Barkley essentially, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry clearly has helped the running backs market, but this is still a team that is never going to make the same mistake that they made with Todd Gurley. And that is pay top dollar to running back. And look, it still made sense. With Gurley's production, he was in that unicorn tier. He was in that, okay, I am absolutely ultra elite. But Kyren Williams isn't one of those guys. And here's the thing. If you are going to bring him back, you're basically essentially going to make him happy, and you're hoping to save money on the back end. But if you're looking for reasons to not extend him, to not sign him to a new contract and lock him up for further than the next season, well, I think the way you could frame this, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. I'll argue for and I'll argue against, and I'll tell you what I think they should do in a second. But as far as arguing against, well, here's the thing. If he goes into the 2026 season after having a great year, let's say he rushes for 1,500 yards and has 17 touchdowns and is an all-pro running back, well, you can franchise him. And if he does it again, you can pay him, right? You can use this as okay, what is this guy going to be? Because there's been a lot of talk about him working on his explosives and trying to increase that breakaway speed, and I don't know how that really is going to change that much when he's 25 years old. Guys kind of are what they are as far as what they bring to the table. But the truth of the matter is you just don't extend running backs unless they're ultra elite if they want elite money and top 10 money. I mean, I know he doesn't want to get paid what Saquon gets paid and guys like that. But the truth is, I mean, if you are the Rams and you kind of look at what he brings, do you give him top 10 money or top 15 money or something in between that? And yes, it's not your money, it's not my money, but this is your team, this is my team, and how you allocate those resources impacts your roster build. So it feels like it is. Now, NFL executives, coaches, and scouts recently, they ranked the league's top 10 running backs in an article for ESPN, and Kyren was not included in that top 10. And he wasn't an honorable mention in that list. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is a guy that isn't one of these explosive running backs, because those are the dudes that pop on social media. Those are the dudes that pop on Twitter and Instagram and things like that, right? He's not one of those guys. But you look at his overall PFF grade last year, 69. That was 32 out of 47 qualified running backs. Rushing yards, he was 7th, 1,299. Touchdowns, he was 5th. Yards per carry was 33rd. So is he elite? No. Is he somewhere between average and great, I would say yes. So if I'm the Rams, I would love to have him around, right? A 74 rushing grade. That was 27 out of 47. And what he does as a guy that protects Matthew Stafford, he understands this gap duo scheme that's been so successful and how they just basically rebuilt their run game in scratch in the last couple of years. He's great in it, and he understands the system. But I would not have my heart broken if, for whatever reason, he does get to that 2026 free agency, just because, a little gun shy about what happened. The truth is, you got Corum, you got Hunter. Corum's a cable backup that was really good in college. Hunter has the chance to just be an explosive back, something that they've lacked. And the thing is, when I think of Rams running backs that I would pay, just kind of close your eyes and think of big money that you would give a running back that has worn the horns. Close your eyes and think of Eric Dickerson, Marshall Faulk, Steven Jackson, Todd Gurley. Does Kyren Williams feel like he's in that tier? To me, the answer would be no. So here's the thing. Those are the type of guys you pay. And I think with Kyren, kind of the enticement there is it looks like he wants to be a Ram badly, and he wants to continue his career here. So I think that there could be some push on his side to try to get a deal done. Now, coming up next, what is the other reason why you wouldn't want to pay Kyren Williams, and ultimately will a deal get done? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. Probably not the best time to bet on the Dodgers, but you still have to feel pretty good that they are going to win the division. The Dodgers, a minus 1,700 to win the National League West. The Giants are gaining ground on them, but a 3-game series with San Francisco starts on Friday. And I think it's a good time to bet on your boys in blue, because that losing streak is going to come to an end in San Francisco some way. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We are back to 5 episodes a week. Training camp just 2 weeks away. Now's the perfect time to join the Everyday Listeners Club. If you're an Everyday Listener, you know you are. You guys are the biggest reasons why this podcast, why this show is what it is. Now's the time to join. What do you have to do to be in the Everyday Listeners Club? Well, you just watch every single episode on YouTube, listen to every single episode on the podcast. Then you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. And then when they win the Super Bowl next year, it's going to be that much more rewarding. But here in our second segment, we're going to pick it up on Kyren Williams talk. And I hope this doesn't sound like I am not a fan of Kyren. I am a massive fan of Kyren. If you guys have been watching the show for a couple years, when everyone's talking about that year with Cam Akers, what I keep saying, I kept saying that every time Sean McVay was asked about Cam Akers, he kept saying, I like Kyren Williams too. Kyren Williams is my guy. I like Kyren. He absolutely loves Kyren Williams. And that is one of the reasons why they felt like Cam Akers was expendable, and they felt okay about the running back position. I love the fact that Kyren, according to a lot of coaches, they're saying that, hey, he has come in this season, I think, with a possible other gear to get to. I mean, Ron Gould, he is the Rams running backs coach, and he said recently that he's in exceptional shape, Kyren Williams is, and that the first thing that stood out to us was his explosiveness. That was really, really evident in the work that he's put in, so really, really pleased with that. You talk about leadership, that's what that's all about. So he's done a great job of uniting guys, bringing everybody together, and making sure that we all stay on the same page. So what he's saying is, first of all, a guy that wants a new contract has not taken his foot off the gas when it comes to his leadership, when it comes to the intangibles that he brings, and then the explosiveness. This is the big kicker for me with Kyren Williams in an extension. Because if they do feel like there could be an uptick in his explosiveness, then I do think that now would absolutely be a time to strongly consider that extension. Now, how likely is that? Depends on who you ask, because that's like a pitcher trying to get 3-4 more ticks on their fastball heater. It rarely happens, right? But that is, I think, what takes Kyren from a B+ to an A grade running back in this league. And all the numbers, all the deeper analytics tell you that that's what he is. But if he could have more explosive plays, that would change the calculus, because that is the one area where he doesn't excel at. You know, I bring my facts to the fight. So let's take a look at it. The Rams offense in 2024 had an explosive run rate of 1.8%, an explosive run rate that ranked towards the bottom league. When you have an explosive run rate at 32, that is a reflection on a little bit of your scheme, running into light boxes versus stack boxes, and the creativity and the vision and the explosiveness of your running back. So they were 27th at 3.6% in 2023. So they've been towards the bottom when it comes to explosive runs the last couple of seasons. And even in 2022, when you didn't have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp for most of the season, they had an explosive run rate of 4.5%. So this number has trended down in the last couple of seasons, 4.5% to 3.6% to 1.8%. Now, you look at the overall success rate from their running backs, that's mainly Kyren Williams, that sits at 41.1%. So 45.1%, that's sixth in the NFL. That's a strong number. But they have a minus 0.06 EPA per rush combined and a negative 0.1 rush yards over expected per attempts. So that tells you that there's not a ton of explosion, a lot of upside there. And then you also have a minus 0.1 rush yards over expected. That's 27. So what these numbers tell you is that there's just not a lot there that tells you that there's going to be tons of upside as far as production that will lead to explosive runs. So basically, in more simplified terms, the Rams' run game, they were really good at just keeping the offense churning, keeping the offense on track, getting positive plays. A 14.9% stuff rate, that was the 9th lowest in the NFL. And 85.4% of Williams' rushing attempts went for at least 1 yard. That was 8th in the NFL. But you did not have the explosion. You did not have those 60, 70, even 30, 40, 50 type yard runs, these Saquon Barkley types. I mean, the Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, the runs that you see that really change the game. And when you look at the Rams' offensive line, they were ranked 6th in run blocking per PFF. All 5 of the Rams' offensive line starters at their position, they were top 20 when it came to run blocking. So that's really good. They were 9th in adjusted line yards. So basically, you can rule out the offensive line as a reason why they're not getting explosive plays. And then you can look at the scheme. Well, if you look at their scheme, they ran different variations, different styles of duo. You saw tight ends and receivers in shorter motions and they were going across the formation. Then they were opening gaps up for Williams, or sometimes they would just completely move those gaps to different locations along the line of scrimmage. And out of those, you would see different pass concepts out of those motions. So basically what you would have was those defenders, they would think that the receiver was going to come across the formation to block for a run, and instead the receiver would go to a little mid-range dig route, or they would come off a play-action fake, or they would put the ball in play. So there was a lot of really interesting concepts that kept defenses off balance because of that. So I don't think it was the scheme, and I don't think it was the offensive line. I think that you just kind of have to accept that this is what you get from this running back position. Because last year, Matthew Stafford, he was 6th in the NFL at 28.8% on play action percentage. So that was the highest in his career in any season with the Rams. So, that really tells you right there that it's the running back position. And also, there's other things to consider too. The Rams using 11 personnel, you're going to see a lot of defenses. They're going to have lighter boxes. And when you have lighter boxes, you are going to dare the Rams offense to put it on the ground and run the rock. And what happens there is a more efficient running game, but then you don't see as many explosive plays. But that doesn't mean that you can't ever have explosive plays. If a running back can make his guy miss, if a running back can break a tackle and create, and an elite offensive line can get to that second level, well, then you can do that. You can find a way to get some explosive plays. But last season, the Rams weren't able to do that, and they ran into lighter boxes at an average rate of 45.1%. It was 14th in the NFL. So, when you're seeing a lighter box, that is a box that has 6 or fewer defenders. And when they ran to a stack box where you had 8 or more defenders, that was 15.1% of the time. That was 29th. And then you look at Kyren Williams in that stretch with the stack boxes, he ran to that 14.2% of the time. That was the 4th lowest. So it tells you, wait a minute, is this a matter of Kyren running into light boxes so he's not getting explosives? Stick with me here. It's not, because guys like Bijan Robinson, they ran to light boxes more than Kyren Williams did. Breece Hall, he led the entire National Football League with runs into light boxes and had an explosive run rate was 5.3%. So the truth is that it's the running back, right? The Rams were 12th in second level yards, but they were 31st in open field yards. And that's just who this team was as a running back. And even when Williams was going to those heavier boxes, he had a explosive run rate at 2.6%. And when the Rams were doing 12 personnel, he was at 1.4% when it comes to the explosive run. So really, if we're just being completely honest, it is more of a Williams thing than a scheme thing or an offensive line thing. And you just kind of have to accept the kind of running back he is. Because look, the truth is he can do some things better than some running backs that have more explosive runs, right? His feel, his ability to kind of just find those open spaces and get you those 10 to 12 yards, 6 to 7 yards, positive yardage. Like, he brings a lot to the table, but explosive runs is just not what he does. Okay, it's just not what he does. And will he do that? Well, clearly he thinks that he's capable of it, and clearly there's been an emphasis on improving that aspect of his game this offseason. And if he can do that and combine it with what he's already able to do as a running back, well, then you're talking about a top-tier running back. Then you're talking about an elite running back. Then you're talking about a guy that you should absolutely handsomely pay because he's going to fetch more on the market, because the market has softened a little bit for running backs in the last couple of years with the success that they've had recently. So it's a complicated conversation for me. If they don't get a deal done, I'll be heartbroken. I think ultimately they're going to get a deal done, and I think it's going to be in training camp. I think that they can get some more explosiveness out of him because he's a hard worker and maybe improve on the margins from that standpoint. But I think at the end of the day, when you see the contract that he's ultimately going to sign, you're going to feel good about the deal that he does sign because I think it will be a team-friendly deal. And look, as far as I'm concerned, you only pay the unicorns, and you only if we find out that they paid him big money, I won't be happy about it. I will not. I will not celebrate it. If you get a reasonable deal that makes sense for both sides, then I will be okay with it. But outside of that, I will not be happy with it. But coming up next, Tutu Atwell. Is this the year that he realizes his potential? I'm going to tell you why it's definitely possible. Tutu Truthers Rise. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Okay, we're going to continue our countdown. The top 20 most important Rams heading into the 2025 season. And today at 15, we're talking about Tutu Atwell. Too fast. Tutu makes some Rams fans furious. But I have always been a Tutu Atwell truther. And the main reason for that is for all the hate he gets. Oh, he's frail. Oh, you make eye contact with him. He flies 5 feet and he gets injured or whatever it may be. The truth is, when you actually speak facts on the dude and what he's been able to do, truth is, he makes the most of his opportunities. Last season, he had a career-high 562 yards. We only played 39% of the snaps. That was the lowest he's ever played since 2021, yet he still had a career-high in receiving yards. And he also generated 62 yards in 2 pass interference penalties. So he brings that element. I think the 2 things that he has working for him, the two things that Tutu has working for him, is one, they brought him back on a $10 million deal. And they've already invested a lot of time, energy, resources, commitment in trying to make Tutu Atwell work. They picked him up with the 57th pick in the 2021 draft. He's the one guy remaining from that draft class. It was a very controversial decision at the time. Well, I'm not going to mention his name, center, Chiefs. I'm not going to say it. But the truth is that when you bring him back on a 1-year, $10 million contract, well, that means you enter camp with the leg up into being the Rams' number 3 receiver behind Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. And those guys are stars and superstars, right? So that's going to open things up for you. I've heard that this guy is one of the most intelligent football players on the field. When it comes to seeing the field, finding soft zones, just using his mental capacity to help himself out, that really says something to me. And the fact that the Rams brought him back when no one thought they were going to, that says something to me. And I think that he really is in a good spot to have a breakout season because of the fact that he is going to be their number 3 receiver. That means you are going to get more playing time. You won't just have a 39% snap count. And also, you're going to see a lot of 11 personnel. And Atwell has shown last couple years, he's not just this deep threat that can take the top off defenses. Sure, he brings that speed, and I think that dynamic, that element is something that he brings and a value that he brings that you just can't teach, that they sorely lack. But he can create separation, and he can make digs and comeback routes. He does have strong hands. I mean, just go look at some of his highlight tape. Some of the deep ends, some of those outbreakers, just crossing routes. I think really it's about Matthew Stafford prioritizing him, and I think getting him involved early in the season is going to be pivotal. Because last time we saw him have a prominent role is when guys were out. Kupp is out. Puka's out. I want to see him worked into this Rams offense while Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp is gone, but Puka Nacua is still in the fold, right? I want to see all these guys work together all season long and not just, next man up mentality if Puka or Devontae Adams goes down. I want to see him as a prioritized part of the offense early on. I'm not asking for 20 targets, but hey, let's remember that you're still trying to build confidence with a young player. And hey, every single offense out there needs a receiver with speed, and he certainly brings that. And he needs to know that he has value. And I think that by giving him confidence and feeding him the ball early, making him feel like he's going to be a part of this offense, I think it's going to pay dividends later in the year. So Tutu truthers rise. I'm planting my flag. This is the year that the Tutu haters are going to be like Homer Simpson going into the hedge and disappearing, because I think he's going to have a productive year for your Los Angeles Rams. I've got north of 600 yards for Tutu Atwell. Could even be significantly more than that. So let me know down below. You agree, disagree? My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.